Alright, let's dive into this wild ride of a story about Errol Spence Jr., Terence Crawford, and the swirling chaos of their potential rematch, all while weaving in the chatter about training shifts, Hall of Fame debates, and the messy undercurrents of boxing politics. Picture this, it's March 1st, 2025, or at least that's the vibe we're starting with, and Spence is out here flexing, literally and figuratively. He's hitting social media, showing off his physique, insisting he's in top shape, no tucked-in shirts needed, just pure fitness on display. "Man, I stay fit, you dig," he's saying, brushing off anyone doubting him. He's got a point to prove after folks clowned a photo where he looked a little bulky, blaming it on layering up with 3 sweaters. Fair enough, we've all had a bad outfit day. Meanwhile, the boxing world's buzzing because Spence has kicked off training for a rematch with Terence "Bud" Crawford. This isn't just any fight, it's a sequel to one of the most lopsided beatdowns in recent memory. Their first clash in July 2023 was supposed to be a coin toss, a 50-50 slugfest between 2 welterweight titans. Instead, Crawford turned it into a clinic, dropping Spence in the second round, then twice more before the ref waved it off in the 9th. Spence, a unified champ at 147 pounds, went from untouchable to unraveled in one night. Now, he's back in the gym, eyeing redemption against the demon that derailed him. And trust me, this isn't just about pride. There's a whole storm of drama brewing around it. The rematch talk didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Things got spicy when Crawford took a jab at Spence's legacy, questioning his Hall of Fame credentials. "I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame." He couldn't, Crawford said, cool as ever, stirring the pot. Spence didn't take that lying down. He fired back, taking it personal, and called Crawford out for round 2. Problem is, Crawford's not exactly champing at the bit for it. His eyes are locked on a mega-fight with Canelo Alvarez, a matchup that'd dwarf anything Spence could offer in terms of cash and clout. But here's where it gets juicy. Saudi boxing bigwig Turki Alshik enters the chat. This guy's got the money and the pull to make almost any fight happen, and word on the street is he's keen on seeing Spence Crawford too, maybe even as a co-main event alongside Canelo versus William Skull. In a sport where cash rules everything, Alshik's interest could flip Crawford's plans upside down. Spence, though, isn't waiting around for Crawford to make up his mind. He's already grinding, and there's a twist. His longtime trainer Derek James is out of the picture. These two were tight, a dynamic duo that ruled the welterweight division for years. James, a former trainer of the year, had Spence's ear, guiding him to a unified reign at 147 and nearly snagging undisputed status. That Crawford loss was supposed to be a hiccup, but it cracked their foundation. Post-fight, James sued Spence for over $5 million in what he claims are unpaid wages, and now they're slugging it out in court instead of the gym. Spence isn't sweating it too much, though. He's on the hunt for a new coach, and one name's popping up: Stephen "Breadman" Edwards. Edwards, a respected trainer out of Philly, has been spotted working with Spence recently. The former champ rolled into Edwards' gym while on some business in the city, and they hit it off, sparring and vibing for a couple of days. Edwards is keeping it chill, though. No jumping to conclusions. "We're just cool," he told Mill City Boxing. He hasn't picked a trainer yet. "I'm not saying I wouldn't train him, and I'm not saying he's not considering me, but nothing's set." Edwards has a solid stable already, guys like Caleb Plant, Julian Williams, and Keone Davis, so adding Spence would be a massive coup. He's been a fan of Spence from afar, curious about how he'll handle a move up to 154 pounds. If Spence taps him, Edwards says it's less about tweaking the X's and O's. Spence is already a polished fighter, and more about rebuilding the mental game after that Crawford shellacking. Spence is playing it coy about his next move. "I got a few names in the hat," he says, keeping it low-key. "I'm working with people, seeing who I mesh with. You'll hear something soon." He's aiming to step back in the ring around October or November 2025, and he's brushing off any noise about being washed. "That wasn't the issue," he says of the Crawford fight. "He had a great game plan, give it to him and his coach. I fought a good fight, just little things I can tweak." Edwards agrees Spence doesn't need a total overhaul. "He's already a tremendous fighter," he says. "The number one thing I can do is build up his self-esteem." If they link up, it'd be a partnership built on respect, not just money, though the paycheck wouldn't hurt either. Now, let's circle back to that Hall of Fame beef, because it's a whole subplot here. Crawford's diss lit a fire under Spence, but it also sparked a bigger debate. Edwards, who's got a deep boxing brain, weighed in with some nuanced takes. He's long been a Crawford stan, ranking him as the pound-for-pound king and a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He's special, Edwards says. Unified 2 divisions, won titles from 135 to 154, undefeated in title fights. His claim is clear. But when a reporter hit him with Crawford's own words, "Spence isn't a Hall of Famer, so my best win isn't that great," Edwards didn't duck the smoke. "It's weird," he admits. Crawford's devaluing his own resume, but his opinion isn't the final word. He doesn't vote for the Hall. So, where does Spence stand? Edwards broke it down like a historian, stacking him up against welterweights since 1980. You've got the untouchable tier: Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, Floyd Mayweather, Felix Trinidad, Oscar de la Hoya, Pernell Whitaker, and Manny Pacquiao. Then the next rung: Miguel Cotto, Wilfred Benitez, Shane Mosley. Below that, guys like Donald Curry, Pepino Cuevas, Tim Bradley, and Carlos Palomino, all Hall of Famers. Spence, with his 6-year reign, 3 unified belts, and wins over Kell Brook, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and Mikey Garcia, slots in around that Curry-Bradley-Mosley level, Edwards reckons. He's better than Cuevas and Palomino, close to Curry and Bradley, he says. He's got a real claim. But there's baggage. That Crawford loss was brutal, decisive in a way that sticks in voters' minds. Plus, fighters like Ike Carty, Marlon Starling, and Simon Brown, who aren't in the Hall, might give skeptics pause. If they're not in, why should Spence be? Some might argue. On the flip side, Spence's resume holds up: a top 4 pound-for-pound run, an Olympic pedigree, and just one loss to a guy who might end up an all-time great. If Crawford keeps racking up wins, and Spence's only L is to him, that helps, Edwards notes. He's not a first-ballot lock like Mayweather or Pacquiao, but he's got a reasonable shot. Crawford's resume, meanwhile, gets flack for lacking marquee names outside Spence and Porter. Edwards defends him: "It's solid, not great. He's fought ring-rated guys and ex-champs consistently for a decade, no controversial wins." He doesn't duck blame on missed fights, Pacquiao, Thurman, Garcia, because boxing's politics often dictate who's available. Top Rank and PBC play their games, he says. Crawford got Porter and Spence eventually, that's what counts. Still, he's not putting Crawford on Leonard or Mayweather's pedestal yet. Let's see where his next fights take him. Oh, and Crawford didn't stop at Spence. He took a wild swing at Pacquiao, too, suggesting Manny's knockout streak dried up once Mayweather pushed for drug testing. PEDs, Crawford hinted. Edwards didn't fully bite. Manny's one of the best I've seen, but there's always been suspicion, he says, citing Freddie Roach's old comments about unknown supplements. Pacquiao sued Floyd, though, if he was dirty, a trial could have exposed him. That gives me pause. The reporter tried to bait Edwards into a racial angle: blacks stick with blacks, but he sidestepped it, keeping the focus on facts. Back to Spence, the dude's in a weird spot. He's apologized to Crawford, not for their beef, but for how he acted pre-fight. "I don't apologize if I mean it," he says, "but 2 days before, tensions rise, everybody's on edge." Crawford shrugged it off. "Don't worry about it. They've got mutual respect, even if the rivalry's still simmering." Spence is moving forward, testing trainers, eyeing 154, and chasing that rematch. Crawford's playing chess, angling for Canelo, but if Al-Sheikh waves enough Saudi cash, we might see round 2 sooner than later. Either way, Spence is out to prove he's still elite, and Crawford's legacy talk only fuels the fire. Boxing's a messy, beautiful grind. Stay tuned.